I don't know what the date is where you are, but where we are, it's early in the Christmas season, around the 5th day of December, 2008. And our hometown cable cameras have come all the way up to Champlain on Route 9 at the home of Jerry Boire and Liz, who's gone into the kitchen to hide, even though the first thing we're showing on our program today is her Christmas tree. Jerry, how the heck are you?
Very good, very good. I'm glad to see you fellows here.
Well, we came here about 15 minutes ago, and we've been covering some old ground, talking about World War II and Army maneuvers along the Saranac River and who knows what all. I've never been in your house before. I love it. But you've only been over here at this place how long now?
It'll be 5 years in June.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Because the farm is really just north of here, not too many feet, right?
Yeah, that's right. Just about 500 feet.
And that's the old, is that the old homestead?
That's it. That's the original old homestead, yes. My father moved there in 1915.
Really?
And we had it until I sold it to the Giroux brothers 5 years ago.
Drew's Poultry?
And Giroux's Poultry?
Giroux Poultry, yes.
Yeah.
Not Giroux brothers. There's a difference there.
I made that same mistake when they were selling the cast iron farm a few weeks ago up north. So chickens, huh?
That's right, chickens.
All right. Now, was there a building here before?
Yeah, my father built this home probably 45, 46 years ago.
No kidding. It looks brand new.
Wow.
Well, you did a little work on it before you moved over here, didn't you?
We did a little remodeling, yes. Yeah, it used to be all panel in here. Of course, back then, paneling was...
That was the thing, right?
Was the
Boy,
thing.
knotty pine, big time stuff,
Yeah.
huh?
Oh, yes, yeah. So we took that all down and put up these kind of walls, which we liked a lot better.
And put a huge addition on the front. When I walked in, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look that big from the outside. But you made it the way you liked it, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. I always said when I moved from the farm, because I got an identical porch next door, and I always said if I ever moved from there, that I would bring my porch with me. And the only way I could do that was to build another
Build
one.
another one, just about like almost the same size.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's almost same size.
Did you do a lot of the work yourself, or hire it done, or how'd you?
My son-in-law, Jim West, he's an excellent
Oh,
carpenter.
I heard about Jim West.
That's
We're
all.
going to talk about Jim West and the cabinets that he made.
Yeah, that's mostly all his work in here.
Now, that brings me to another question. Is Jim the one that made that Martin house up at Miners?
Yes, he is.
Tell me about that. For our viewers who may not have seen that, that's an incredible piece of
Oh,
work.
he did a lot of work on that, and I went down and I helped him paint it.
Well, that's important.
We had a great time, Jim.
It's big.
Oh, it's beautiful too. It's gorgeous.
I forgot how big it is. What would you guess?
Oh,
How square? It's a really huge.
it's got to be at least 4 or 5 feet long and probably 3 or 4 feet
What
wide.
in
I'm
the
not sure.
world prompted him to build that?
They asked him to do that for their home that they've got where they display these things.
Yeah, the museum.
The
Yeah.
museum. So he took it on. It was quite a project because it took him quite a while to do that.
I mean, some of us have tried to build doll houses for our granddaughter. In my case, that would be a terrible disaster.
It would be in mine too.
But did it turn out to be a lot more complicated than he expected?
It was a lot of work. We'll put it that way. It was a lot of work.
It's beautiful. I can't remember, did he model that after another actual building?
They had the plans. They got them. God, I don't know where they got them plans.
From some old miner plans, maybe?
Yes, it is.
I think so. I think I remember that,
There
yeah.
used to be a Martin house there, yeah.
Yeah.
There was a Martin house
Years
at one
ago.
time on the is it the Hearts of Light farm?
Yep.
Yeah.
And they found the plans.
They found the plans.
Isn't that incredible?
So that's how he just looked at the picture and he built it.
How long did it take?
It took a while.
You gave him a little encouragement along the way.
We argued a little bit.
Oh, did you? Well, I don't know if the birds will ever get a chance to get in it because it's inside the museum, right?
Oh yeah.
That's great. There's so much history. You know, I had forgotten that it was him who built that until Calvin told me. But Calvin also reminded me about something else about this property that happened 2 decades ago. I seem to remember talk of wanting to put a prison up here
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's quite a while ago.
back in the olden days, and there was some, shall we say, stiff local resistance
And there sure was.
to build. Some of our favorite people in the whole world to know, not in my backyard. And so guess what?
It didn't come.
Ron Stafford said, well, there's plenty of places that want prisons. We're not going to upset those people. We don't want to get those people up there mad at us. So were you kind of scared for a while that something was going to happen or what?
Oh, no. Well, no, because they came looking for property to build that prison, and I says if the price is right, the farm is for sale.
Oh, ho, ho. Now, here's a guy with a practical mind.
That's right. I mean, why work 7 days a week when you don't have to?
Well, you know, that's what we've talked to how many farmers that have windmills on their property, and way back when they built the St. Lawrence Seaway, and I lived along the St. Lawrence River, those farmers were offered a fair price for their farms. It's hard to move off your farm when your family's been there, you said, since when, 1915?
1915, my dad moved here, and we've been here ever since.
Yeah. But anyway, it didn't happen.
No.
So forget that idea. That lasted only a short time, but believe me, the fur was flying. I remember that very well. Well, here we are in 2008 at Christmas time, and Calvin and I have, Calvin's dragged the camera. All I have to do is hold this very light microphone here. But we've covered some Christmas stories over the years, because some people really love this season.
Oh, it's a beautiful holiday. I mean, we always enjoy it. Of course, we had a big family.
How big?
Well, we got 7 children and 15 grandchildren.
Oh, I love it.
No great-grandchildren yet.
Oh, no, get him, tell him Gordy said get to work on it. Our family knows the formula with our 23.
Of course, our first grandson got married this past summer.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So,
Things will happen. They have
yeah.
a way of happening,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know that.
but the trouble is, when I get a great-grandchild, I'll get much older.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
I decided to cut that off about 10 years ago. Somebody up there is laughing at me, say, you think so?
But
Anyway, family's great.
oh, it's
And
sure.
Christmas is great for the little ones, and I imagine when they come in your house, Jerry,
There's
they
a
go nuts.
there's a big crowd. We're about 30 of us at Christmas time in here.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, and we have a beautiful time. The kids get along good, and we have a great time.
You know, there's a survey that just got released today, as if it were some kind of a revelation to Calvin and me and you, Jerry, that happiness is easy to spread around. When somebody's happy, then people around you are happy, and the more people you can get to be happy, the happier the place it is. And it's something we've been talking about for a long time.
The formula, I think, for that, if you can laugh at yourself, you can always get along well in life.
Oh, I do that all the time. I got a lot to laugh at.
Yeah, we've been married for 53 years.
Have you? Isn't congratulations
And,
to you and the hiding lady out there.
Well, our formula when we first got married, and like I told you before, was making $90 a month.
Yeah.
And
We were discussing wages.
I told Liz when we got married, I says, I make $90 a month, and I put the money on the kitchen table, and I says, you can spend it all in one day, or you can spread it out for 30 days.
Let me see,
it
$3 a day.
It didn't take her long to learn to spread it out for 30 days.
You didn't go out to eat very often either, did you? Neither did any of us. I was telling Calvin, and I hate to wax nostalgic all the time, but things were so different when we were young. I mean, they're telling people that they got to cut back. When we were young, there was no cutting back. You were there. You didn't know you were poor, but I mean, once a month or so, my father would take us to a little diner in Messina, and what did I order off the menu? My favorite item on the menu was a Western egg sandwich. That was a real big deal for me at the diner.
We very seldom went to a restaurant when we were young.
And a nickel for a piece of pie.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Well, how could you?
couldn't.
But you know what? You and I also mentioned before Calvin hit that on button on the thing today, and these are things for people to think about in this day and age when we live in a very materialistic society where it's spend. We were pretty self-sufficient.
We sure were.
In the country, on the farms, you had at least one cow.
Oh yes, yeah.
You had a pork, a side of beef.
Mm-hmm.
You had your own vegetables.
That's correct.
Sometimes made your own butter.
Oh yes, we did that too.
And as Jerry said a few minutes ago, if you did go to the store, what you could buy for a $10 bill.
You could come home with all the groceries for a whole week.
Can you believe that?
Yeah. All what we needed. I mean, we had a lot of it from the farm, but what we needed, that's what it cost us.
Well, they talk about recession and the possibility of a depression, but we lived through that. You're a couple years older than I am, but boy, in the 20s and early 30s, times were really tough. And my father was a poor preacher, and very often he'd get, his salary was small enough as it was, and he'd very often get paid off in a peck of potatoes.
I was born, they were slowly coming out of the Depression, because that started in 29. But I can't remember having a heck of a lot, we had nothing.
But we didn't know that.
But we had...
Nobody told us we were poor. I never had a new pair of pants.
No, we always went to bed, we were well fed, and we always had clothes on our back. Yeah. And that was the main thing.
Yeah.
That was the main
for
thing.
Christmas time, we hear people talking, well, my kids are only going to get 10 presents this year. Well, what did we get? What did we get? What did we get, kids?
We're lucky we got one.
If I got a jackknife, now you don't give your kids a jackknife, but every kid, if I got a jackknife or an orange, or some little tiny thing, or my father bought an old sled, a flexible flyer sled one time, and fixed it up. Mm-hmm. We always wanted a sled, and we knew he couldn't afford it. And there wasn't anything under the tree, and my father, after we were sitting there with long faces, he said, "You will now open the front door," and there, leaning up to on the front porch was, it looked like it was 10 feet tall because I was this tall, but it was probably a 6-foot flexible flyer. We were the most happy kids the world ever knew.
Well, I got actually, of course, I was the youngest in my family. I'm the one that got the first bought snow sled.
Did you really?
Because my father had made the other one.
Oh, yeah.
And all the other 6 kids used it. And I got the first one that was
store-bought.
A store-bought sled. I was proud of that thing. But the only thing that I got upset about is that his homemade sled could go faster than my store-bought sled.
Those old homemade sleds were beautiful. Wouldn't you love to have it today?
My goodness.
Too bad they didn't hang it up in the barn somewhere so you'd have it today, Jerry.
I guess so.
Oh, my. Now they got all those plastic things and tubes and who knows what all. Mm-hmm. Those were the days. So you, personally now, you always loved the Christmas season?
Oh, I do. It's the greatest time of the year.
In our house, probably like your house, the religious significance, and that's why Calvin decided to start over in this corner. That was the most important part of it.
That's right. That's what the people had forgotten.
Yeah, and we can get our little soapboxes and preach a little sermon here. Calvin and I do it all the time, but it is important to get back to what really is important and what counts about this season.
With this kind of a situation that our country's in now, probably it will start to come back.
You hope so.
I hope so.
If they don't outlaw putting the nativity scene on the lawn somewhere.
That's right.
Isn't it amazing? So this is this is Liz's tree. Now let's you and I walk a little closer, and Calvin get closer so he can see what's on it and explain all these things that you were talking about.
Wow.
For those who've just turned on the television set, we're at Jerry and Liz Boire's house up in Champlain along Route 9, and we're talking about Christmas. And this is Liz's tree.
That's correct.
And I just want the record to show that even though she's given us a little advice from the other room, she hasn't shown her face on the... Maybe we can just catch her on the way out the door. She'll chase us with a broom or something. All right, talk about this tree, Jerry.
Hershey started putting out these little ornaments.
They're beautiful.
2 years back.
I've never seen that many of them in my life.
And she started ordering them. And every year they came out with 2 different ones, and she kept getting them until they stopped making them.
They knew they had somebody on the line when she started, didn't they? Huh?
They stopped, 2 or 3 years ago, I guess, making them. But she's got all of them that they've made.
How many? How many, Liz? She has no idea.
There's quite a few.
There's
of
a
them.
bunch, enough
Oh,
to
yeah.
just about cover the whole tree. And like I said, I don't know anybody who's got the whole list. How many years ago did they start making those?
Oh, I don't know. I was.
She got one or two a year.
Yeah, there was two of them. Every year they made two of them. But I don't know how many there is because I wasn't involved in this one.
Oh, that is truly amazing. So that's the Hershey tree.
That's the Hershey tree. Now she's looking to try and get a Hershey kiss for the.
Uh-oh.
From
I
the
wonder
top of that
is there
tree.
such a thing?
No, there isn't. But
I'm calling Hershey right away. I bet you they'll make one.
I'm going to try and convince my son-in-law to make one for us.
You know, I bet he could.
I probably.
If he can make that Martin house, he can make a Hershey kiss as big or as small as you want it
Yeah.
and put a light in it. Make it of something very, very light so you could put a light in it. Why not?
He doesn't know about this, but I'm going to try and convince him to make one.
I bet you once this gets on television, he'll find out about it. Oh, that's a beautiful tree. Now I want to know when you start putting all this stuff out. I know we're going to see something else that's just going to blow people's minds. But when do you start putting the Christmas stuff up?
Right after Thanksgiving.
Do you?
Yeah.
Many people do. I had those good intentions this year. I don't know about Calvin.
Yeah.
My Christmas tree's still in a box out in the back shed. I got a wreath on the front door that our son-in-law gave to me. That's as far as I got so far.
Yeah, we put this up a couple days after Thanksgiving. That was our start, and we go from there. You know, it takes us probably a whole week before we get it all out.
And we've seen people.
But we don't work very long days.
Why should you? Tell me, what did you do all your life? Did you farm all your life, Jerry?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I was a farmer all my life.
That was it. And there's no better occupation.
None.
You don't get rich at it, but you're rich in so many ways. It's something we've talked about often. I've told on this show here many times how important my years working on farms growing up were to my education. You know, it's your parents first, then your teachers, and then those people who taught you how to milk cows by hand.
That's right.
How many have you milked by hand over the years?
Not really that many because the milking machines were just starting to come out.
That's what happened to me, too.
When I was old enough to, I did milk some by hand. I can't say that I never did. But, you know, to be into farming today, you have to have a very understanding wife. Because if you don't, you're not going to succeed.
It's hard to succeed with a small farm anymore.
Oh,
You look at these guys with 2,000 cows.
That's right.
Huh?
That's right.
Unless you've got a computerized operation and anywhere from 500 cows up, it's hard to survive.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't because, you know, when they go to the machine companies or they charge them the same price for them to repair their machinery as they do the bigger farmers.
That's why in the olden days, when you had some mechanized equipment, you had a little roll of baling wire.
That's right. That's right. You could do that back then, but
And-
today you can't.
Yeah, but farmers were what I called everything people. They could grow things, they could fix things, they could, they could make do with nothing.
You always went out in the field with something to repair something because if you didn't, you had to come back often.
Now, your father, was he originally from here or Canada?
Canada. He was born in Naperville.
No kidding.
Yeah.
As is the case with so many people from this Champlain area.
He came across as a young man and he lived in Paris Mills for a while.
Oh, no, what was his first name, your dad?
Exemer.
Oh, I love it. No kidding. How many Exemers do you know these days, right? So anyway, came down here.
Yeah, and he, I think it was two ladies by the name of Dodds, I think. I'm really not sure on that. But anyway, they owned the place at first. It was only part of this. Where my son lives on the hill over there, that was a different farm. And when that came up for sale, my father bought that, and we combined both places. But it was a long haul.
Well, it's nice to look out the window in the morning and see roughly the same scene that you've seen for the last years, right, Jerry?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of sunrises, but like Liz tells me, I have never seen too many sunsets because I'm always in bed.
Oh, never thought of that. Every now and again, I'll see them on both ends of the day. And aren't we lucky not to live in a metropolitan area where you never see either one because of the tall buildings, you know?
That's right.
There's a lot to be said for nature, and we talked about happiness earlier in our show. And to live on the same property, you know, Calvin does, you do, and so many other people we know wake up in the morning and see those great scenes outside. That's great. I love it.
Well, it was nice for me to sell the farm to Giroux Poultry because, you know, they've done a beautiful job. They've tiled it all. They removed a lot of the stone walls that were remaining. And they've buried ditches, and they've made it all in one large piece of property instead of different smaller sections.
You ever pick stone?
Oh.
Calvin and I laugh about that all the time because I look at my kids and grandchildren. You talk about a stone boat. They have a stone boat. What the heck is a stone boat? Well,
That's right.
if you ever had one drawn by a horse and you ever pick stone, put it on a stone boat.
You know, when I was younger and we used to plow with those trailer plows, I always carried a crowbar and a chain on my tractor. So when I'd hook a big stone, I'd dig it out and pull it out with the tractor. And then, of course, in the spring of the year, like you say, we had to take out the stone boat and pick them up after. It was a job. But it was part of...
Yeah, you don't have to go to prison to pick stone, do you?
No.
Anyway, we got so much to talk about. We want to talk about Christmas. Yeah. We want this to be a happy program, but I'm so glad we started in this little corner. Mm-hmm. That's why we call it our little corner program, to see Christmas the way it should be. And I'll be attending at least one outdoor nativity scene. Some of the churches still have the outdoor nativity programs, and I love it. Because I spent my whole childhood trying to figure out how to hold that staff as a shepherd or whatever my mother told me to do, and she'd wrap those things around my head, and there we go. Let's go look around your house. What do you say, Jerry?
Very good.
All right. Now we're getting into the fun stuff. Jerry Boire, up in Champlain. We heard about this display. I've never seen anything like this outside of a Christmas shop. And then I'm sure most of those would be jealous of what you've done here. How did this whole thing start with you, Jer?
It started with that barn.
This barn right down here that says Dairy Barn.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it should start when you're a farmer.
My sister Paula, that passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
She gave us that barn for our 25th wedding anniversary.
Oh, that is a while ago.
And we never knew, you know, because we were dairy farmers, we thought that that's why she gave it to us. And we never knew that it belonged to a collection like this until we went to Burlington to the Christmas loft. And
there you go.
And there we saw it.
Said, oh.
We saw the barn there displayed with the village, and I told Liz, I says, look at this. So that's where it all started.
Well, she likes collections of things. We already know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where it started, but you didn't always have it displayed here.
No, when we were living on the farm next door, it was about half the size of this. And I used to display it at Christmas time. It was always in an enclosed display like this, but the rest of it I'd put out around the house. But when we moved here, I could build it twice the size, so it's all out now.
But when it's out, it stays out.
It stays out. It stays out year round.
This is truly amazing. First of all, I want people to look at the wood. There's so many things to look at. We're going to look at details. But this wood, this is very special for you for a lot of reasons, right?
Yeah, it comes out of my own woodlot.
Amazing.
That's what's special about it.
What kind of wood is it?
Oak.
Oak?
Yeah.
And how does it get from your woodlot to here? That's what I want to know.
Well, we had it sawed several years ago, and I had piled it inside the barn and let it dry. And then my son-in-law, Jim, took it from there.
We're talking about the same now famous Martin house maker, Jimmy West.
That's right. He's the one that refinished all this.
And this was shortly after you moved in, or?
No, before we moved in.
Before you moved in.
Yeah,
this was going to be a real important part of your house.
That's right. I made sure that he was to build my display so I could put it all out.
Now, do these buildings and so on have a special name? Are they part of a special collection like the Hershey collection that Liz has on the tree, or are they different collections? Or
Yes, it is. It's part of the Snow Village collection.
Snow Villages. All right. And you started with the barn.
I started with the barn, and then we kept building out, and I built my rural scene. And over next door, I couldn't have a railroad or a train going around like this. So when we built this one, I wanted Jim to build it wide enough so I could put my train to go around my village.
It adds a lot. We're all little kids at heart.
Oh.
You know, there's a song that say we're all all kids at Christmas time. And there's so much to see here. And I know it's hard for Calvin to focus on everything, but it's fabulous because a lot of it's moving and blinking. So what was next after the barn? What did you do next?
Well, we bought some of the houses down at the other end, and then I got the church.
I like the church.
And of course, every church has to have a cemetery, and there's a cemetery on the other side of it.
I didn't even see the cemetery. My goodness, come on.
And of course, we got the married couple coming out of the church there.
Oh. There's so many little tiny things. What's all this white stuff that you have down there, that fake snow?
That's artificial snow.
Artificial snow.
Yes.
Now, are these things glued down or just set in
No,
there?
they're just sitting there.
Just sitting, so you could move things around if you wanted
Oh yeah.
to.
Oh yeah, we can move them if we want to. And then I put my electrical line.
Oh, they're electric? Oh, my goodness, come on. You don't even see poles like this alongside the road anymore. Look at this. And you got a bridge.
Oh yeah, that's for the people to cross over.
I can't believe you even got bales of straw there
That's right.
next to your barn.
And I think if you look closely, I got an old H tractor on the other
Oh,
side.
come on. Oh, come on. That's down in behind. Well, of course, Calvin's a little partial to John Deere's, you
Oh,
know.
I know that.
Uh-huh.
You gotta have one of them around the North Country.
So little by little by little. What, every year you'd buy a couple? Or
Yeah,
how did that
and then
work?
the kids would give me some for Christmas or sometimes on my birthday.
Right,
They'd get me
right.
a new house, and then I bought the stuff that went with it and started to display the whole thing.
But did you have an idea in your mind how you wanted it to end up, or did it just build it as you go kind of thing?
Well, you know, when I started filling this in here, I'd set the houses different positions to see which one looked the best and the way that we thought would be better.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we had to move them around; they just didn't go right. So we ended up with this.
You have the best of the new world and the old world. You got the tractor here with the people caroling on the back. We used to do that every year. You got a horse and sleigh and the wagons and the little buildings and cars and even the little Christmas tree on top of the car. Come on.
Yeah, we got a garage sale there.
Oh, look at the garage sale. Isn't that amazing? Plus a real garage right next door
That's right.
on the top. Oh my goodness.
And every village had to have a bowling alley. There's a bowling alley.
Oh, you got the bowling, the village lanes. Come on. There's probably little people really in there bowling too if we knew the half of it. Frank's Tackle Box. Come on. Oh, Jerry, you're amazing. You're doing it to me. Wait till I tell my wife about this wonderful place. Because I got a niece, Ann Carter, who gets the villages out. I don't know if I've never seen her display, so I don't know if it's the same kind of buildings. How many buildings do you have? Do you know?
I believe it's close to 50 now.
Are you kidding me?
Not-
And some of them are very, very complicated.
Oh yes, yeah.
What else? Let me just come this way with me a little bit. I want to walk where Calvin is and see, because I didn't see too much over this corner. Oh, yes. Okay, now I see the church and the cemetery.
The cemetery is in the back. There.
Oh, and lit trees all around and carolers out front. You've got cars and balloons. And there must be a lot of figurines, the kids.
Yes.
And the adults and so on that you can add, right?
See, that's the one next to the church is the grandmother's cottage.
Is it? Look at the smoke coming out of the chimney. Oh, come on. And some of these are how old? What's the oldest? How old is the barn? Would you say?
Well, that's 28 years old.
Is it really? So they've been making this stuff for a long time.
Oh yeah, yeah, they've been making it for quite a while.
And I suppose there's new stuff being put out there every year, just like the Hershey things for a while.
That's right, every year. Most of this stuff that I've got now is all retired.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they make them just so many years and then they retire.
Sometimes they put numbers on them, I guess, and retire them, and they get to be actually worth quite a bit of money.
They used to, but I guess now they don't appreciate as much as they used to.
But not. I bet you there are many people who have a display like this. I haven't seen any around here that are this good. Like I said, I got to talk to my niece Ann Carter and see how many she has. But she doesn't have a Jimmy West
No.
to build something like this, so she puts them all over the house, and the little kids love them. Now let me go up. We got 3 tiers here, right?
Yeah, we got the rural scene, we got the city.
This is the city in the middle,
We got the mountain scene up above.
and the mountain scene. This is the. I love this. You got a theater here. Look at the person selling tickets in there, with the lights and the little tiny writing and the starring Porky Pig, Daffy Duck. Come on, I'm reading this. Miracle on One Village Place. Holiday special Saturday family night. Dreaming of a snowy village. Boy, that's beautiful all by itself. Cinema 56, huh? So does each one have a name, each building?
Yes, they do.
And you know them all too, Jerry, right?
Well, a few of them, a few of them I'd have to look up
I
again.
would never put you on the spot. There's Santa right on the roof of that one right there. Look at that whole yard, all the little tiny things in the yard.
Yeah.
Calvin reminded me that we're only about 1.5 miles from the McRae Road,
Yes.
where we did a show, 3 years ago, Calvin?
About that.
About 3 years ago, where you just stand there and you take a deep breath because you can't take it all in with your eyes.
Yeah,
It's
they
just-
got a beautiful
and
display.
that's all the outside stuff, which she does every year. So then you got the mountain scene up above. Look at the people skiing. You got the mountain lodge with a sleigh. You got the waterfall. That's pretty clever.
Yeah, and there's a skating rink below the
Oh, there
waterfall,
is.
but you can't. It's too high up. You can't.
Oh, that's all right. We got other skating rinks going on. We can see them. But look at this. Was this all one thing? This big?
The mountain was, yeah, and then the lodges fit on
Oh, I see
top
what
of it.
you do.
Cabins
You
in
got
the lodge.
chopping wood. Look at the wood pile. Come on. We got snowmobiles. And of course, a little snow on the mountain and the trees. Absolutely. I'm looking down here at the police car. Snow Village Police Department, right? SVPD. Oh, 56th Precinct. And of course, next to the police department, what would you always find? A donut shop.
Right. Gotta have a donut shop there.
Oh, yeah, isn't that great? Tourist information. And I'm looking at the original Snow Village. Enjoy your stay. Isn't that a great sign? You got a Coke truck.
There's a Coca-Cola. There's a building back there.
Oh, yeah, the soda fountain and the pharmacy. Look at the stacks of soft drink. Isn't that wonderful?
And every city has to have a fire department.
Yeah, there may be a fire going on in the public library here. We got the hook and ladder and the aerial truck right up there. We could have used that for the big fire we had recently in town here. Yeah, firehouse number 4. Look at the people inside. Look at this. The little kids.
Oh,
The
yeah.
little kids love it. You
They
pick them up
love
and
it.
hold them and.
They love this. Well, we got out of that. We put them chairs now.
Oh, you do, so they can kneel up on there.
We had the Gooley triplets.
Oh, did you really?
Over
The
here,
triplets. Oh, yeah.
We were over here one night, and of course we had to pick them up, So
Yeah.
we said, "Hey, that's enough of this." So we put 2 chairs here, and they exchange chairs and look at it in different places.
Well, if you're a little kid or a big kid, you can't take your eyes off of this because everywhere you go, there's something else. The house that Love built, 1997.
Yeah, that's a Ronald McDonald house. That's the first one they put out.
No kidding.
My wife won that at Myers in Plattsburgh.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, they had a drawing, and you put your name in the box, and she won that. That's the only one that was ever built like that.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Well, you're inspiring me, and we're going to have to go out and get some of the nutcrackers and some of the music boxes out, because, you know, I think the first Christmas things I ever started to buy were when Steve Dusso was in business in town. They sold Christmas trees. Then he had a shop, and he sold Christmas items, and that's where my wife's bear collection started, because she has lots of bears. And then Myers, how many wonderful Christmas things have we purchased there over the years? Hospital with a helicopter pad on the roof? Come on.
You gotta have that for emergencies.
Oh, my. And I love the North Pole. And the Santa and the snowman that light up. Isn't that beautiful? Got a snowplow, right? Got an ambulance.
Gotta have the ice castle.
Got the senior spa. Got and that'll be coming up in February.
That's right.
Actually, as we're doing this on the 5th day of December 2008, I just got word a couple of weeks ago that the Winter Carnival in Saranac Lake is going to be on Valentine's Day this year, February 14th. Have you ever been up there, Jerry?
I've went up and seen the castle.
Yeah.
I've never been when they were having their celebration.
Yeah, we go up there, and I try to, with my little camcorder, do the parade every year, and it's nice. This is wonderful. And look up here with the reindeer and Santa Claus, and we even got a television station. Wait a minute, we're going to have to put the hometown cable logo up there, I think.
You give it to me and I'll put it.
There's an idea for you, Calvin. The Northwoods Nursery. Oh, my. And you got icicles?
Icicles, and I got the stars.
And the stars up in the sky. Oh, come on. You know, the interesting part of this, Jerry, is you got a little empty corner over here.
I keep looking. You know, when we go on vacation or we travel around the country, if there's a Christmas shop, I always stop. That's one stop.
That's a given. You got to do that.
I got to stop and see what they have to see if they have anything that I'd be interested in.
Well, I bet you your kids will be looking out for you.
Oh, they do.
Liz will be looking out for you. And
They always, they're good at that. You know, if they find something that they know that I don't have, they will bring it back.
now you got mirror background on the first 2 tiers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that something you would plan to do right from the beginning?
Yes. Yeah.
Because that adds a depth, doesn't it?
That's right. That's
a
right.
nice dimension to it.
It looks like a bigger display than it actually is.
Oh, it's big. It's big enough. It's better than anything I've ever seen.
Of course, I'm a big New York Giant fan.
Well,
so you
and me too.
You have to have a football stadium.
Isn't that great, huh?
Yeah.
Isn't that great? And we happen to be doing this in a year when the Giants are having a very good year. What are they, 11-1 now?
11-1, yeah. Doing very good.
We're recording this on a Friday. This weekend we got a pretty big game against Philadelphia, so we don't know.
Hopefully they'll come out all right.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a school.
Oh yes, look at that. Did you go to a small school, little schoolhouse when you first started?
No, I went to St. Mary's.
Oh, you did. St. Mary's, as many people did. You did too, Calvin, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know where Liz and I first lived when we first got married, that was the original old schoolhouse.
Was it really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
My father bought that when they put it up for sale, and he remodeled it into a home.
Into a house, and it still is.
Yeah, it still is.
As many of those old schoolhouses are still in existence. They moved a lot of them,
Yeah, they did.
so it was hard to find them when I was trying to do a survey about them back in the 70s. But they're still around.
You got the kids center there.
Oh, the daycare.
Daycare
Yeah.
center.
See, I told you, I learned something new. The Christmas Lake High School, 1909. The Peppermint Porch Daycare. Oh, my old eyes, Jerry.
Yeah.
Oh, and a school bus and the kids wandering around, and there's so much detail. Look at you got a picture of the stadium out back too, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that wonderful? So you don't know what the next
Don't know, but that's the end of that. When I have it completed, that'll be.
Calvin's got to get this on before Christmas time to give your kids and your neighbors an opportunity to go and fill in that corner for you. I imagine you'll have a few suggestions.
Well, it's hard to find the stuff that goes with the mountain scene. That's where I'm having
It
my
is?
most trouble. You know, you can't put a building that fits in the city up there.
Well, we could put the Mount Van Hovenberg ski jump up
Yeah,
there.
well, I'm looking at that.
Oh, are you really? I was thinking about that.
Because they do have a.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they do have a ski jump?
Well, it's similar to something like
Oh,
that. I
yeah,
guess.
you could work that out. Wait a minute, I got stuff behind me. I don't know if Calvin can see it. I'm going to move back a little bit. What do you got over here, Jeff?
They started making those in 1995. That's what they call Santa Comes to Town. And they make one every year.
Oh, you're good to go for the next 30 years then.
And of course, my son-in-law Jim West built me this
He built this
cabinet
beautiful cabinet.
to go with it. And I've got them all. I started in 95 and down to 2008.
Well, you've got a few more shelves
Oh,
for,
yes,
the, for the
yeah.
next few years.
Yeah.
Got a snowman on the top. It just never ends in this house.
The only thing I never liked about this display is that one up there with the reindeers,
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Oh, it is.
But I think it's 2001 or 2. But I never cared for that piece because the scale of it is,
It's a little bit different, yeah.
it's too big to fit with the rest
That's
of it.
perfect up there.
Wow, I had to leave it up there. I couldn't put it in there.
Who's going to complain? That little Santa Claus up there? I don't think so. And right behind Calvin on the wall is a framed poster. Tell me a little bit about the history of that thing.
That was a puzzle that Liz
A
found.
puzzle?
Yeah.
Come on.
She found that at Hallmark after Christmas, and she bought it for me. And it took
It is a puzzle now that I get close enough.
It took us about at least 2 months to put it together.
Oh, did it really?
Because man, it was a lot of small pieces that you
my,
just
my,
couldn't
my.
find, and a lot of those buildings that's in that puzzle is in my
Or in your display there,
in my
sure.
display. Yeah.
Oh, isn't that fantastic? And then you got a little sign above that says Village Collector.
Oh yes.
Boy, if you don't qualify to be the Village Collector, I don't know anybody who does. It's Christmas all around your house. You were telling me about this fireplace. Calvin's taking a good long look at that thing because it's just so fascinating. I wonder, that's probably from a photograph anyway, isn't it?
It could
It
be.
looks like it's from a photograph of somebody else who set it up, maybe at the company.
It could very well be. I don't
Now,
know.
this fireplace, tell me about the history of this beautiful fireplace.
Well, that's another handiwork of my son-in-law,
Jim West.
Jim West.
He deserves so much credit. Is that the same oak that you had
Yes.
from here?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, isn't it absolutely not disputable, but beautiful, with a gas fireplace insert.
My father it was originally built with my father's home, but he didn't have a display like this. You know, it was just a unworking fireplace. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
It was just a display, and then he had a granite piece in there, and Jim covered it with wood.
Oh, I see, yeah. And the great old double-barrel shotgun, is that a family heirloom or what?
That belonged to my wife's great-grandfather, I believe.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It is a family heirloom.
Oh, yeah.
What's Liz's maiden name?
Akey.
Oh, Akey, another pretty famous. Not as famous
Well,
as Boire, maybe, but
there's difference. There's the one. Her name is spelled Ackey.
oh, it is.
So the ones in Plattsburgh are not related to her.
The gun's been to a lot of weddings too, Gordy.
You think a lot of that gun? You know, that gun is absolutely reminiscent of the gun that I carried every day in that Adventure Town village I worked in. It started the day where the stagecoach came into town. All the kids are waiting to come in, and they give each one of us a whole box of blank shells, and I put them in my mouth so I could fire them as quick as I could. I almost killed myself and half the people that were around me, but that was like the old shotgun that they gave us to use.
Well, I'd hate to fire that thing now.
Oh, but you know what? I bet you it would work.
I don't know. I'm not about to try it.
Not going to set it up, huh? Well, you've done an absolutely magnificent job here. Of course, we got other things there are other corners of the house that you put the decorations on. This is truly incredible. And how many, let me see, how many grandchildren now you said?
15.
15 grandchildren. What ages are
Well,
they?
actually 16. Now we got a new one this summer.
Oh, you got a new one this summer. It's hard to keep track of the
Our
new one.
son-in-law my son-in-law. My grandson got married, so that gives us another one.
Isn't it? That's wonderful.
Look at the socks.
Huh?
We'll look at the stockings.
Oh, yes, we got to look at the stockings. Of course we are. All right, we got a couple of shrines going on here. As a matter of fact, we got some nice shrines all around this house, but this one is of particular interest to anybody who's ever watched Hometown Cable. Know who Oral Parsons was. Tell us the history behind this whole thing.
Of course, Oral and I were great friends. And that our daughter Amy, after Oral passed away, made me this.
She did?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the sugar cane at the bottom. Oral and I and Marilyn and Liz, we used to go grocery shopping. And Oral was great to put stuff in your cart that you didn't want to buy.
Really?
So he put that sugar cane in our cart one evening, and it went through the line, and we ended up with the sugar cane.
I can picture him doing that, you know.
So anyway, we said, oh, that's okay. So we always found a way to give it back to each other.
Oh, I've heard stories like that before. Did you really?
Yeah, we always found a way to give it back to each other. And when they had it, they'd figure out a way to give it back to us.
Oh, I love it.
So when he passed away, he had it. He never had a chance to give it back to me before he passed away.
He's up there chuckling when he sees it on the wall here, though, isn't he?
And my daughter, Amy, called up Marilyn and asked her if she could have it. And that's what she did.
Isn't that? And I bet you Marilyn was proud to see that, too. I bet you, huh?
She sure was.
Isn't that beautiful? What a nice tribute to Oral. He was, talk about a North Country icon up here in the Northern Tier, involved in so many things.
He was a great person.
I had no idea that you and he were that close. That's wonderful.
Yeah, but he must be laughing because I ended up with it.
You know, you've heard stories about the same Christmas card, right? And the same birthday card, and
Yeah.
sometimes the same old pair of socks that keep giving back and forth. But that's a new one on me, Jerry. Piece of sugar cane.
Yeah.
Now, there's something else that really pleases me about this size of your house, of course, being such a dyed-in-the-wool Giants fan forever and through the good times and the bad times.
Oh, yeah.
And you got your little shrine here. We were, the Super Bowl last year, we were in a condo near Orlando, Florida. And one of my sons and his wife were there with Kay and I, and we're cheering and screaming and hollering. And my wife, before the game was even over, she was ordering the shirt for me. Oh, and the hat and the cap, of course.
Yeah.
So we wear it proudly, and we're doing, again, there it is right there, 20308, New York Giants. Have you always been a Giants fan?
Oh, I always have.
How about baseball?
No, I'm
Not
only
a baseball
I'm
fan?
only a football fan.
Football fan?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a Giants game in the Meadowlands or anywhere
I
else?
have. Yeah, I went and saw him play in the Meadowlands, and I went and saw him play at RFK Stadium.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
when I went to RFK. That's when Joe Theismann got his
yeah.
leg broke and
Oh,
never
my-
played after that.
Isn't that amazing? There's a piece of history right there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's we went to one of our kids got married way back when in Brooklyn, and that was my excuse to go to a Giants game the next day after the wedding. And
Right.
Jerry, our good friend Jerry Ramback, you know, from Ramback's Bakery, had an uncle that played for the New York Giants in the 1940s. So Jerry would always have a couple of seats forever and ever, and every now and again he'd say, "Hey, Gordy, want to go to a game?"
Well, you know how come I ended up at RFK Stadium is that I got two sisters that live in Virginia.
Oh,
right across, right next to Washington. And one of my sister, her son-in-law, worked for Budweiser. And I always told her, I said, if you can get me tickets to go to the game, I said, I'll fly down and I'll go and watch the Giants play against the Redskins. Well, I never thought that it would happen, but lo and behold, she called me one night and she says, I got your tickets. So I had to go down.
Did you twitch a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was happy over that. So anyway, we were sitting in the stands with my brother-in-law, and when the Redskins did something good, that was all right. But when the Giants did something that was pretty impressive, I got up and I started to holler and cheer, and I noticed that I didn't have too many friends.
Oh, no, you notice that, huh?
Yeah.
Some stadiums that people are downright belligerent when they see fans like you, you know. I'm like you are. Even in my living room when nobody's there, I'm screaming so loud I scare the dogs to death. My wife will jump right out of her chair. Oh, my goodness. Well, we've had a little good luck against the Redskins in the last game, wouldn't you say?
I guess so.
Oh, they weren't too happy.
No.
Anyway, what else have we got in here? We got stuff all over the house. We got little Santa Claus figures over there in the living room. You just like Christmas. You got little candles on the table. You got stuff.
Oh, we got stuff all over.
Have you got stuff that isn't out yet that you're going to put out, or is it all out there now?
Well, we may find a few other things before Christmas gets here.
Who knows what you're going to find underneath the tree? You got a beautiful big tree when we came in the door. I noticed that. Is that a real one? Or?
Yeah, that's a real tree.
Boy, it's perfectly formed. You got that up north here somewhere?
Yeah, we got that right here at Stacy Gouldie's.
Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. Of course, sometimes the artificial trees are so beautiful, Jerry, now you can't tell the difference, but that looks real. That is beautiful.
Liz always likes to have a real tree. A lot of these decorations that we have on this is that the kids, when they were in school, made them for us.
Of course, we've got those too.
And,
Yep.
and Oral made me some when he was alive. So it's mostly all...
I like the wooden ones. I spent a whole winter time. I'm not very good making things, but I made dozens and dozens of wooden.
This is one that Oral made, I believe.
Look at it, 1992. Those kinds of things I made all one winter and painted them all, and every once in a while we put them out.
Yeah, it was. That's a lot of work to make those things.
Oh, look at the moving. Come on. The angel moves.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Oh, my.
And this one here is...
That's old.
That's one my mother had.
That's old.
Yeah. That's
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
one my mother had.
You know, I have in a closet somewhere, wrapped up in cotton batting because they're so fragile, the actual electric bulbs shaped like little animals in Santa Clauses that my mother had on her tree in 1908. And I don't dare to take them out because, you know, they're all hand-blown ornaments. And they're so fragile, if one ever dropped, I'd never forgive myself.
You know, if you notice, all the ones that are unbreakable are on the bottom.
On the bottom when the kids are in town. Not a bad idea. Something else that caught my eye the second we walked in there. Well, first of all, you got reindeer in the window.
Oh yeah, that's my guard dog.
That's your guard dog with his little horns on, huh? We used to have a little dog named Morton. We tried to put horns on him like that, and it's the only time he came close to biting me because he didn't like that thing stuck on his head at all. Oh, that's a beautiful tree. That's a real great tree. And behind Calvin, you can't walk into this house without seeing this display. Tell me about these stockings.
Well, they're all handmade.
Who made them?
Liz, and when the girls got old enough,
They made their own?
they made their own, or they made for their families. And
I bet your dad didn't make the dad one, though.
no,
I love it.
no, we used to display them on the mantle when we lived next
You
door.
need an awful big mantle for that.
Yeah, we had quite a few, but when we moved here, I tried to figure out how to hang them all again. So I come up with that idea.
Well, that's a very clever idea with a long wooden pole and 3 chain supports in the ceiling and the lights all around. What a perfect idea.
Yeah, it turned out all right.
You know, I was just thinking as you were talking, Jerry, that this may really be the North Pole here, you know. You may have it here and you don't know it.
Well, it's not Santa Claus.
Oh. I bet you there's a lot of happiness and ho, ho, ho here around Christmas time.
Oh, there sure is.
So some of these are more than a couple years old then, right?
Oh, yes, they are.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, what an interesting group of names. Now, what's this one? EX?
Sherry.
Now, this one.
Oh,
right
that's
there.
actually, that's our son.
Oh, no kidding.
See, we named him Gerald Exemer after my father's.
Oh, yes, of course.
And he goes by Exie.
not?
Everybody knows him by Exie.
EXI, it's way easier to spell
Yeah.
when you can't spell like I do.
Everybody knows him by that.
Oh, that's great. And then there's the backside of the decorations. You have a wonderful, warm home. I just regret that Liz snuck out the door and said, I got to go to lunch with somebody, right?
She warned me ahead of time. She said, I'm not going on camera.
But
So,
you know what? I can't hold it against her because Kay is exactly the same way. She's a wonderful, warm, charming lady, but cameras and Kay are terrible. We got to get away from the door because we got lights coming in from everywhere. This is just great. So now are you fully retired, Jerry? Or
I guess so.
are you doing, what kinds of things keep you occupied?
Well, I have a big garden in the summer, and
That's the best,
I
isn't it?
take care of the flowers outside, and I do once in a while drive for Rovers
Oh, do you really?
when they need me. But you know, it's getting to the point where,
Just don't feel like,
well, the days are getting longer every year.
I know. But you'll have a garden as long as you can
Oh,
get out the back door.
That's right. That's
What?
right. I love doing that. So that occupies my
You
time.
were born with a green thumb,
Well-
whether you need it or not.
I don't know.
What kind of crops did you grow on the farm with your dad?
Corn, hay, and oats was the main crops.
And did you always have milking cows? Always Holsteins?
Yes.
What's the most Holsteins you ever had?
When we sold out, we had 90.
Did you? Well, that was a pretty big farm back in the
Well, it was back then.
in the olden days. Now it's a drop in the bucket compared to what they do now.
They don't even talk about that anymore.
Well, we're thrilled, and
What he should have done is tape that last milking that he did. That's what he should have done.
you should have put.
did.
Yeah,
He did.
really? Did you really? You were there. You were there.
In fact, I got the tape.
No kidding. You and Bob, or just you?
me.
Just you, right up there. Oh my goodness, isn't that amazing?
One thing I want to say is that anybody wants to come and see
No
my
kidding.
display, they're more than welcome.
Isn't that's very, very kind. Should they call you ahead of time?
While
In case you didn't watch the sun go down that night? I mean,
they can call me after 5 o'clock in the morning, but don't call me after 8 o'clock at night
No, I
because
know.
it's too late.
you get up early like I do in the morning. Oh, I was just looking at a little nest in there. Come on. Look at this little bird in the nest. So many things to see in this house, and if people want to bring their kids around,
Oh, we love to see the kids.
just to love to see the kids. And there is nobody, no kid of any age from 6 months to 106 who wouldn't love that great display. When you see Jimmy, you have to congratulate him for us.
Wow.
We've admired his work from afar, especially starting with that Martin house. I don't even know what year he made that. Maybe 7, 8 years ago, maybe?
It must be. It
At
must
least?
be that, yeah.
If people want to see that, they can go up to the Heart's Delight Farm and go into that museum. There's a diorama in there. There are so many displays there, and Calvin and I were there and did the Cook's tour shortly after they opened it, right, Calvin? And just thoroughly enjoyed it because who's lived around here for years doesn't know who Miner was and his wife.
Not too many
Because
people.
they had an impact on almost every aspect of life here in the North Country back in those days, right? Yep, Calvin's nodding. Every now and again we get him to say a few words. If I ever held the camera one day, he'd be horrified. You tell Liz that we don't, because I'm the original Chicken Little, and maybe she's the next one. But I hope she enjoys this. I hope all your kids and grandchildren do. And even though people may see this after Christmas 2008, we want to wish you and your whole family the best holiday you ever had in your life, Jerry.
Well, thank you very much. And likewise, I mean, we like to wish everybody in the North Country very Merry Christmas and a prosperous and holy New Year.
I love that, and thank you so much. I love that my wife's Christmas cactus is something she's proud of. Look at that one. That's been growing in that pot for more than 2 weeks, I guarantee you that.
Yeah, it's just the blossoms are going the other way there.
Yeah, but aren't they beautiful when they first come
Oh,
out?
they're gorgeous.
I love them. I took a picture of Kay's pink one the other day, and I used it as the background for my computer. And it's just, it takes my breath away every time I turn the computer on. Well, thank you all for watching this program. This has been so much fun once again. Huh?
Thank you for coming.
Well, you know, if your hospitality is amazing and wonderful, and you're a super guy, and we're proud in the North Country to have you as our friend and neighbor, Jerry. Best of everything to all of you. Thank you for watching. Thank you, as always, for your suggestions. If you'd like to make a little contribution, see, you know what this hand motion means. Take care of Hometown Cable. Call Calvin or send him a check, and he'll be delighted. And maybe we'll be at your house sometime. But who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.